There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim. The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of the Nephilim. Okay, this is a special presentation. This happened last night. My inbox lit up. I get about a half a dozen emails from people out there who are watching and aware of what's happening. Brett Baer runs bizarre report suggesting link between UFOs and unexplained pregnancies. Is it bizarre or is it the truth? We'll get into that and so much more after a word from our faithful sponsor, Noble Gold. For years now, people have been setting up a little contest between crypto and gold. But that's like comparing a truck with an SUV. Both carry stuff and travel from point A to point B, but they do different jobs. Gold's job is to keep the value of your money safe and preserve its value. And since Ukraine and all the nonsense that's going over there and the oil inflation crisis, it's done a brilliant job compared to stocks and other investments. If you're worried about what's going on right now, and frankly, folks, who isn't? Just talk to an expert at Noble Gold about precious metal IRAs for your retirement. They'll put you straight on your options and hold your hand through the whole setup process. And this month, for any qualified IRA, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin completely free as a thank you. Folks, please call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347 now to find out. And if you want to go to the website, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. That's once again, noblegoldinvestments.com. They have been a faithful supporter of what we do here, and they really help us by spending their advertising dollars on our show. So please consider that. Once again, 877-646-5347, noblegoldinvestments.com. Folks, the Homeward Bound Conference, May 19th to the 22nd. I will be speaking twice. ProphecyWatchers.com, ProphecyWatchers.com. What are you waiting for? It's a gathering of our tribe. And I can't wait to meet a lot of you and shake hands and just hang out. Also, a little later on in the month, May 27th to 29th, it's a real honor for me to be there. I will be on a UFO Disclosure Symposium. They got some big names there, and that's going to be a real hoot. So I speak on Sunday, and I would love to see you come out for that, and more about that in the upcoming weeks. Anyway, folks, before I get into this, if you want to sponsor us here on the Trail of the Nephilim, and of course on pp&s Report, shoot me an email at la@lamarzulli.net. Because of the economy and the way things are going and our numbers are down, our views are down, which is unfortunate, but we lost 2 sponsors. So we're okay. If you got a tugging on your heart to sponsor us, we could use it. So we'll see what the Lord does, and we'll go from there. Let's look at the rungs of disclosure before I get into the Bear Report. The first rung is Commander David Fravor on 2017 on Tucker Carlson's show, where he states on the record that the craft he saw, the tic-tac shaped object that he saw, okay, which sped away from him like a bullet out of a gun, was not made on this earth, was not of this earth. That's a direct quote. Whatever it was not of this earth. That's the first rung of disclosure. Luis Elizondo, back on Tucker Carlson, claims that they now have mystery metal that they're beginning to test that came from UFO crash sites. Some of the metal came from government agencies, other came from private collections. Chris Peck appears on CNN, Tucker Carlson, different programs, basically saying that the metal was tested and the alloys found in that metal were not found on this earth. So the alloys present in that metal, that mystery metal from the UFO crash, are not found on this earth. That's rung number 3. Run number 4 blew me away. The Pentagon announces that we have in our possession off-world vehicles not made on this earth. Pray tell, where are they made and who's making them? And more importantly, who the heck is behind the wheel of this thing? Number 5 was the bogus UFO report. But again, it was something. It's another rung on the disclosure ladder. And it stated that out of 143 sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena, because you can't say UFO, that has negative connotations, LA. So out of 143 or 144, whatever it was, they only could explain one. So you have 142 sightings that there's no explanation for. The big one of the big ones, the next rung on the disclosure ladder is this, the Pentagon unexplained pregnancies. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Folks, here it is. Brett Baer runs bizarre report suggesting link between UFOs and unexplained pregnancies. Okay, let's walk through this. Brett Baer is reading off a teleprompter, number 1. Number 2, someone at Fox decides that they're going to run with the story. The producers decide that they're going to run with the story. For whatever reason, I don't know whether Tucker covered it. Maybe he'll cover it tonight. Who knows? But it's on Brett Baer's show, and he's very serious. And, I'm Brett Baer. He's, I'm hardly reasonable. But he's, he's an anchor at Fox, and he's very serious and very professional. But maybe that's why they gave it to him. Tucker might have been more explosive. I don't know. So Baer comes out and runs with the story, suggesting a link between UFOs and unexplained pregnancies. I'm going to show you a clip that I interviewed this woman, Lindy, yesterday. And she's a little nervous, but she came on the record. And I think you'll find what she has to say extremely interesting. We interviewed a woman that I'm not going to show that clip. That'll be in episode 3 or 4, I'm not sure which yet, of our ongoing UFO disclosure series. I'm working on 2. I promise you by the end of April, it'll be here on YouTube. You can watch it for free. So let's get into this. UFOs had sexual encounters with witnesses and left one woman pregnant. Folks, this has been going on. I have been talking about it. I have been banging this drum for over 30 years. And for the most part, it falls on deaf ears. Even with a report like this on Fox News, I get a half a dozen emails at best. The phone doesn't ring. No one's going, oh my gosh, LA, did you see this? It's happening. Disclosure. Yeah, I know. It's happening. The church is completely anemic, totally asleep, so what else is new? And you would think that every pastor in America would be talking about this. Why? I'll tell you why in just a second. So we know that people that have UFO encounters have hair loss, headaches, nightmares, fever, nosebleeds, burnt skin, heart palpitations. Go back to the Fatima apparitions in 1917, and many of the people that saw the disc-like object that hovered over the so-called apparition site experienced all those things. So this is the problem. This woman who was she's not sure whether she's taken or not, but it happened 3 times, and then she came of the Lord. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and you'll hear her testimony in just a second. So I'm going to run the clip, and I'll weigh in on it on the other side. I'm here with Lindy, who contacted me via email a while back, and we've been in communication. She had multiple encounters over a series of years. I've heard this ever since I started researching this. It's troubling. Oftentimes, people who are victims of this live their lives in shame. Because of what's happened to them, they're afraid to come forward because of ridicule. And a lot of people, I remember, I'll just give you a story. I was at a conference a while back, and a woman came up to me with her husband, and she just blurted out, "I've been abducted." And the husband did a double take. She never told him. And I see this over and over and over again. People live with the fear, the shame, the guilt, and everything that goes with it. And I admire your courage, Lindy, first of all, for coming on the record here with us and talking about it. So I'll just start at the beginning. When did this start in your life?
Okay. Well, thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate this opportunity. This started, I believe, in 7th grade. I had reached physical maturity in 6th grade when I was 11 and a half. There were 3 episodes, and I remember each time there being 2 grays on the right side of my bed and 1 gray on the left side of my bed. You know, I don't want to disappoint people if they're looking for a bunch of juicy details, but I don't remember a lot of what happened.
Of course not.
Okay.
That's very typical.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, I don't remember leaving my room or anything. My little sister was in the same room with me. She was asleep. And I remember each time, like the second and third time, I would think, oh, it's them. And then I would go back to sleep. And I knew they were communicating with each other. And I knew it had something to do with my ovaries. Now I had been a Girl Scout, and in 5th grade, they got us all together for a video telling us how that our bodies were going to mature, and the ovaries and the eggs and the menstrual, you know, the whole thing. So I knew what ovaries were. I knew eggs. I knew what that was about. And all I knew is that it had something to do with my ovaries. Those occurrences stopped. There were only 3 of them. They stopped after I was baptized in June of 1969, after my 8th grade year. So it was 3 times within my 7th and 8th grade years. So that was just the very beginning of it. So
let me ask you something. Were you taken at all? Do you remember being examined on a metal table?
No, I don't remember anything except lying on my back on my bed. I never left the room. I may have left the room, but I don't have any recollection of it.
Do you have anything peculiar, like the next morning when you wake up, you notice that your pajamas or your nightgown is on backwards? Anything weird like that?
No. As a matter of fact, those memories were kind of repressed until later, when I was, hearing other people talk about it. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And I remember distinctly, it was 3 times. And I don't remember being afraid. I don't remember any pain or anything like that. I don't remember hearing them. They seemed to be communicating telepathically, but there were, 2 over here, and they were about right even with my hips, 2 on the right and 1 on the left. It was always the 3 of them each of the 3 times. So
let me ask you something. Did it stop after you were baptized, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Yes, it did. It did stop then. So I was not raised in a Christian home per se. We went to church, like for Resurrection Day and Christmas, and that was about it, But I was always a believer. I always believed. I had a grandmother that believed, and I always believed in my heart. I was not committed to the Lord. And even when I committed myself to the Lord, then I was baptized. I didn't understand about being born again. Nobody had said anything to me about repentance. It was in a, denominational church where they just really didn't preach a whole lot of anything, but I just knew it was something I needed to do. But that seemed to stop it. So I guess that's where the line, and maybe he protected my memory. I may have gone to Mars for all I know. I don't know.
So let me ask you something. Is there any other testimony after that, after the 3rd time? I mean, is that it?
No, I had an event happen about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Makes me think that perhaps they did get an egg or 2. Anyway, I woke up in the middle of the night with a being, alien, whatever you want to call it, standing right by my bed, right about hip level. I mean, just in the middle of the night, I just opened my eyes, and he was just standing there staring at me. Now he looked very much like a gray, only he was blue, and his whole body glowed. He produced his own light. He didn't have a pointy chin. He had more of a rounder head, and he had it was either black or navy blue eyes. And of course, it didn't say anything. And I mean, I sat up and went, Jesus, like that, and bam, he was gone. And I went back to sleep, and I told my husband about it the next day. Now, I cannot think of anything I might have done that opened a door for an attack. So that's one of the things I wanted to bring out to you. I thought I'd throw it out there. If you maybe somehow, I mean, we know the devil doesn't play by the rules, but maybe this was an offspring of mine coming to see what his mother looked like. I don't know. I have no idea why it was there for any other reason, and perhaps because that thing, my genes in it. So did
did it look somewhat human, or was it completely alien looking?
Completely alien. I mean, it had eyes, nose, mouth, all that. But there's no way you could, mistake it for a human. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to figure out how high it was, and so I got the yardstick last night, and I laid down on the bed, and I had my husband stand by the side of the bed, and I put my hand up as high as the top of his head, and he measured, and the yardstick came like about 6 inches up. So he was about 3.5 feet tall. Okay. It was not big. It was not big. Right. So
anything other than the first three and that last encounter? Anything in between?
Oh, yes. Well, my husband and I saw a UFO back in the mid to late 90s. We had come back from Louisville. We'd gone to see the ballet, and it was in January, and it was a very crisp, clear night, and we love to look at the stars. He has a big 6-inch telescope, and we take that out. We love to do that sort of thing. Anyway, so we have a 1-car garage, which is very narrow, and he has to stop, let me out, and then let me go in the house, and then, So he stopped the car in the driveway. I got out, and I looked up, and I could see, the only way you could see it is that it was eclipsing all the stars as it moved. It was solid black. I know it was triangular, and it was moving maybe between 2 and 3. I mean, I could have walked with it very easily, very, very slowly. It was probably maybe 75, 100 feet, equilateral triangle, just like it was going down the road next to our house. There was no sound. There was no light. It was just above the trees. 75? I don't know. It was just, and I immediately just rapped on the window of the car, and I said, Gerald, you've got to get out here and look at this. And he jumped out, and he looked up. He's like, okay, so we thought, we hadn't been researching aliens or UFOs or anything like that at that point. We don't live that far from Fort Knox, so I thought maybe this is some kind of government experimental thing, and maybe it was. From what I've learned now, maybe it's a back engineered craft. I don't know, but yeah, and it was funny because I was a Cub Scout leader, and I had a co-leader, and she was telling me about seeing a UFO out in the field one time, and with all the lights and everything, and I was making fun of her. And it was just a few months later when this happened. I was like, never mind. Yeah, I believe you now. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. And it just, it just slowly moved, just right down the street. And we went in the house, and the babysitter was there, and we didn't really think much of it until we started watching TV shows, and we thought that's exactly what we saw when they started talking about the triangular shaped craft.
Right.
No lights, nothing, just.
That's a very common sighting that many people have had. A triangular shape moving very slowly over the treetops, not making a sound. Did you watch it leave the scene by any chance?
We watched it go about halfway down the street, maybe. I don't know why we didn't. I don't know. You hear what you just said? You don't know why you went back inside and stopped looking at something that you've never seen before. Something that's out of this world. Something that's not in your grid system. Well, there it goes, honey. It's over the Phillips's house. That's five houses down. So we'll just let it go and we'll forget about it. That's called UFO brain fog, Lindy. That's what that's called. Because you're acting in a way that's not normal. Normally, you wouldn't do that. You'd go, oh my gosh, what is that? Instead, I guess we've seen enough. Yeah. I should have run in the house and got the babysitter out and say, hey, come look at this. Because I would have had plenty of time to run upstairs. Because, that slowly, he could have come out and seen it too, So, yeah, you're right. That is weird. But I think I don't know.
Here, I'll give you one of my favorite ones. Not that any of these are favorite. They're alarming. So this woman was a teenager. She's in a car full of girls. They're coming back from a dance. They see lights over the treetops. They stop the car. They all get out. They realize it's not someone mud running. It's a UFO. So they get really scared. They go back in the car, and her sister is driving, and she goes, let's go. Go. And then she says this, we were speeding, but we weren't moving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we hear this type of UFO brain fog because when you're in the proximity of them, you don't think right. You just don't think right. You just don't. Nobody does.
Wow.
So I want to circle back to the entity that came in the room. You sat up and you said Jesus. That wasn't a swear word. That was like a Jesus help me type thing.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. I just want to make that clear because she was, no, you were going Jesus, like help. I need it now.
Big
And
brother.
sometimes that's you. Let me ask you this: why do you think this was from your ovaries, part of your gene pool? What did you ever hear anybody else say that? Did that idea come into your mind when you saw it? Explain that.
Well, I had heard that they were harvesting eggs and using them to produce beings of some sort.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer. I'm spirit filled. I've done a lot of spiritual warfare and stuff like that. I know if I've opened a door or something, or, like I listened to a radio program one time where this woman was on there and I had called in and everything. And I got attacked that night. Lord said, don't you talk to her again. I'm like, okay, yes, sir. So yeah, but there were no open doors anywhere. This thing just appeared out of the blue. And that's why I'm asking you, do you think maybe, because I can't think of any other reason that it came other than to see what its mother looked like. I thought
I'm gonna ask you again. Why would you think that?
Because I knew I did something with my ovaries. I know when the Greys came at night, they were doing something with my ovaries, and I didn't know what. I didn't know about egg harvesting until 15, 20 years ago. I didn't know about that. So when I found out about that, then it caused me to wonder, have they used any of my genetic material? So anyway.
When you saw this entity, when did you get the thought that I wonder if it's part me? It came a little bit mother.
The very next day.
Very next day.
I was telling my husband about it. He slept through the whole thing, so
he was switched off.
Well, he sleeps pretty well anyway. So
that's very standard. They'll focus on you, and he's switched off. They have the ability to do that. It's hard to say what you're really looking at there. I'll give you another just some solace. There was a woman that we interviewed at the Dallas conference a couple of weeks ago, and very similar to your story, except she was taken multiple times.
Yes.
And only until fairly recently did it stop. And basically, with her second marriage, and she had 3 children, all boys, and it stopped. She dedicated her life to the Lord, very similar to what you did. That's the boundary line. So she's laying in bed one night. The Greys show up, and with them, or actually no, not the Greys. The Greys don't show up. Three men show up in the room, and she knows instantly these are my children. But they don't look human. They look mostly human, or part human. But there's this, alien, what we would call alien features to them. So she realizes instantly that these are my offspring. This is what they did. They took my eggs, and this is the result of it. And they're here to see their mother as well. It's almost an exact story. She told me on the record that she felt nothing but evil from them. So
yeah. Well, this wasn't overwhelmingly evil. I didn't feel it, but there was. It was the shock, and I was calling on Jesus, but it wasn't like I was terrified. It was so momentarily. It lasted a second, and it was over with. As soon as I said the name of Jesus, he was gone.
Let me get this straight. Second 1, you wake up, you see him. Second 2, so you're basically seeing this entity for probably less than 3 seconds.
Yes.
Were there any physical traces in the room that you can remember after this thing left?
No.
Any weird smell or anything like that?
No. Now I know there was a weird smell. I forgot about that. There was a weird smell in my bedroom back, in New Jersey, where the other things. It was kind of a dirty, musky, stale. I don't know. Yuck. Just kind of a yuck.
But you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Let me ask you something. Is your mother still alive?
No, sir.
Did you ever tell your mother about these visitations?
No. No, I didn't tell anybody in my family. I mean, I'm the only one in my family that was a committed Christian. I was afraid that if I told them this, they would think that all the supernatural things I was telling about Jesus and the Holy Spirit I think I was afraid they would dump it all into one basket and shove, not take any of it seriously.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Older sister and a younger sister. I have never told them. Never.
I would encourage you to share it now with them, because what you might find is they were taken too.
I thought about that. I thought about that because I'm thinking, my older sister, she was class valedictorian. I'm like, if they want some smart genes, they ought to go there. I mean, I'm not stupid, but I was not class valedictorian, and I don't know. And I've always thought like, okay, so what opened the door? So I've looked in my past, and I know I had ancestry that were involved in Freemasonry. Mother said that she had an uncle that was a water witch. I was in Rainbow Girls. Of course, that's a part of Freemasonry. And I repented of that, renounced that, got rid of all the stuff that went with that. Now my mother was into witchcraft. I mean, not into, but she liked to read like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, all that kind of stuff, and I knew not to do that. I just knew, just leave it alone, but she always had an interest, and she would buy me stuff like the black 8 balls. She got me and she got me a Ouija board. She got me a Kabbalah thing with a pendulum. These were toys I never even knew existed, and I never asked for them. She would just show up with them at home, and of course I did play with them. And of course, growing up, we had the sleepover parties with the occult games and the seances and light as a feather and all that kind of stuff. So there's
your open door.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. But
I got rid of all that. But there's another thing too that I've been curious about. When my dad was working with Bell Laboratories, he worked one summer at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. Jackpot. I know. Okay, so there we go. So I don't know. Maybe that was an open door. Maybe
how old were you then?
I was 4.
How long did he work there?
It was just one summer. Just one summer.
He was working. 4 years old. You're 4 years old when he works at Parsons.
Yes. Yeah. For one summer, we lived in a little, motel type, apartment with a pool and all that. All I remember is swimming all the time, going to Disneyland, stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm wondering if somebody, because I know they used to take us to the laboratories at Bell Laboratories in New Jersey, like on Family Day and stuff like that. Maybe I crossed paths with somebody that said, let's use her or something. I don't know. I just can't help but wonder. But he was working. Do you know what? Do you remember Telstar?
Sure.
Okay, he was one of the designers of Telstar.
Okay.
He was there like for the launch, and he'd gone to Europe and everything, and to help set up all this stuff. But he was one of the designers, and that's why he was working there in California during that time. So, yeah, it was all related.
How many children have you birthed naturally?
0. I have 2 miscarriages. Yeah. And we adopted 2 special needs boys.
Yeah.
Yes, we lost one of them back in 2008. So we just have one now. So
have you ever gone to OBGYN? Have they examined your ovaries or anything like that?
Yeah, we had a bunch of tests done, and they really didn't know why. I mean, we just had a hard time conceiving, and the first time I conceived, I knew it was a son. The next time I conceived, the Lord told me I was going to conceive. We were my husband were on a retreat, just the 2 of us. And he said, this is so, if you get together now, you will conceive a daughter. And I'm thinking, okay. So, we were just trotted back to the room and, did a lot of people thing. Anyway, but then when I was working on something a couple of weeks later, and I pulled out my dictionary to look up a word, and my eyes hit the word holoblastic, which is like when the egg has like separated into several, it's starting to differentiate into the different organs and things. I saw that word and I instantly knew that I was going to lose that child, and that was the stage it was in. And I did. In about a week, then I lost that child. But we adopted 2 special needs boys, and one of them, when he was about 8, the Lord took him to heaven, and he met our son and our daughter. So I knew it was a son the first time, and I knew it was going to be a daughter, Joshua Daniel and Sarah Beth. And we had not told him about miscarriages. He's what, 8 years old? We adopted him and his brother when they were 6. We didn't discuss that with him, but for some reason, the Lord took him to heaven, and he met them, and they said to say hi and that they were looking forward to meeting us.
Wow.
So it confirmed that, yes, it was.
You can't make that stuff up.
No. So I know they're there, and we'll get to see them sometime. So, I do have children. Yes.
Well,
yes.
I admire your courage for coming on the record. You're not the first female I've heard that had trouble conceiving. That seems to be, it goes along with those who were taken and tampered with. It's very common. Very, very common.
Like scar tissue that maybe the eggs can't get out. Is that what it is? You know that.
One woman, her fallopian tubes were all tangled up inside. And the doctor looked at it and said, how did that happen? And she remembers being taken multiple times as a child.
Wow.
They are making hybrids. There's no doubt about it. You're not alone. There's no shame in this at all. You were a child. You had no say in this. Just like a 5-year-old boy that was taken right up through the ceiling. Had no say. He was implanted. 40 years later, we took out the implant. Lindy, I'm kind of running out of time. I'll give you the last word. Thank you so much for coming on the record. It takes a lot of courage, and just thank you for your closing thoughts.
Encourage. I'm glad to get it off my chest to somebody that's not going to go, you what? And but as far like you brought up with the implants too, my husband has a regular metal detector, and he's got the pinpoint thing, and he's run all, and the only time it went off, it was like it went off when it went on my hand. I thought, oh, it's in my hand. And they're like, oh, it's on my ring. It picked up my. Well, it was out here, and I'm like, oh, there's one in there. I'm like, no, it was my rings. So we didn't find anything, but yes, I appreciate you listening. I feel very strongly. I know what you guys are doing. Society has been told, we've watched Ancient Aliens, and after every one, my husband and I look at each other and go, close but no cigar. Okay, they are not our friendly little brothers from outer space. They do not part, and people need to understand that. And they're playing good cop, bad cop. It's very real, and people need to, they need to be educated. And if I can help do that, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing
this. Well, Lindy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the record. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
My email's open to you anytime, and God bless you. Really appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you so much, LA. Appreciate it.
I can't stress the importance of this scripture enough, because it sets up the biblical prophetic narrative. You've heard me say this, and I got to say it again because I know new people come here all the time. And still I get emails from people going, I don't understand the seed war stuff. Genesis 3:15, thou will put enmity, war between your seed, your offspring, the dragon's offspring and the offspring, the seed of the woman. The one coming from the seed of the woman will crush the dragon's head. It's that simple. It's that simple. And yet, in the book of Daniel, we read, whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Stop right there. Who is they? Who are they that it's talking about? Who are they? It's not the seed of men, it's something else. Held back to Genesis 3:15. Unless we come to grips with this, we never understand what's going on. You would think that pastors would run with this Brett Baer story, because what he's talking about is Genesis 3:15, and what he's talking about is Daniel 2:43 to 46. It's in the latter days that this happens. Do you understand that, folks? It's in the latter days. We're in the last of the last days. We're in the latter days, and it's happening. They are mingling their seed with the seed of men. There it is. I can't. I'm blown away. I really am. I am blown away. Why? Because it's happening. We're on the sixth rung of a disclosure ladder, and it's ramping up to see what people will do. There's no panic. It's not like Orson Welles where people are jumping out of windows and, oh my God, it's not that at all. It's complete and utter laissez-faire, just this ambivalence at best. The churches need to wake up. We should be at the tip of the spear. I am. I'm the tip of the spear. The Lord set me into this position. I've been banging this drum for, 30 years? And for the most part, it falls on deaf ears. And, what's it going to take? Every pastor in America should be running with this week. It doesn't have to be the whole sermon, but my gosh, educate your people, because it's right out of the book. Well, maybe Brett Baer was just being, sensationalistic to look for ratings, blah, 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 blah. No, he's not, folks. It's ongoing disclosure. Wake up. Anyway, folks, thanks so much. Remember, you can watch this. It's a free film right here on YouTube. Open the text box right below this and watch the free UFO film. We talk about hybrids because that's what this is. They are modern day Nephilim. As in the days of Noah, so it will be when the Son of Man returns. What differentiates the days of Noah? Think about it. The Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. That's why we're on the trail. They go like this. What happened in antiquity, is now being revealed in modernity. And it's all from, as Russ Dizdar used to say, Hell's Kitchen. It's all from the dragon. Wake up. This is the coming great deception and the Luciferian endgame. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be right back here tomorrow with a very special report from a man that went as far as you can go in being transgender. And he lived as a woman for, 12 years, and he detransitioned back. So I'll run with that story. The man's name is Ted. Detransitioned after 12 years living as a woman, unless it's preempted by something from UFO, another rung on the disclosure ladder, something breaks. We'll have that story. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, we'll see you on the air or in the air.
I've seen a UFO.
I've seen a UFO.
And I saw a UFO.
A UFO.